So, while everyone was busy fighting about liquid glass, Apple's SwiftUI engineers sat in a room and answered real developer questions, straight answers, no marketing filter. And a couple of those answers flat out contradict the code your agent pushed into your repo this week, no joke. And almost nobody read them, which is, yeah, we're fixing that today. Okay. So, quick setup because this genuinely flew under the radar. During WWDC, Apple ran these group labs, a Swift UI one, a beginner one, a whole coding intelligence one, and each came with a Q&A where actual engineers answered actual developer questions, and the whole thing got written up, which is the best version of it, honestly. You can sit with the answers instead of letting them scroll past you in a session video. And the first one that stopped me is from the beginner lab, and don't skip it because it says beginner. This one's aimed straight at us. Someone asked, in a world of agentic AI, how do you use AI inside Xcode and SwiftUI and still make sure you're actually learning anything? And Apple's answer is so simple, it stings. Use AI as a tutor, not as a replacement for understanding. Ask the agent to explain what it produced, why it picked that API, what alternatives exist, have it quiz you. And I read that and I was like, okay, let me be honest about my own sessions here, because when you're solo and the agent is fast, you offload, and not on purpose. It just happens, right? The diff looks clean, the build's green, and somewhere in there you stopped reading to understand and started reading to approve. On a team, someone eventually makes you explain your own PR, and the gap shows. Solo, nobody asks. So the gap just quietly grows until the one day the bug is weird enough that the model starts guessing and you're staring at a code base you shipped, but don't actually, yeah, you've felt that moment. I know you have. So here's where I'd try this the tutor pass. So before you close any real session, flip the roles, tell the agent, walk me through this diff like I didn't write the prompt, explain why that API over the obvious alternative, then quiz me on the part I'd struggle to rewrite by hand. And the quiz part sounds silly until you try it, because the model is scary good at finding the exact seam where your understanding stops. Mine found it faster than I wanted it to, not gonna lie. Just real quick, I'm Daniel, over 9 years deep in the iOS trenches. Started out as a freelance UI guy, slid into full-time dev, spent way too long shipping other people's ideas. Then dub 25 hit, something clicked, and I went all in on solo, and I've crafted over 26 of my own apps since, all of it built and published, and not quick MVPs, not AI slop, apps meant to hold up and last. These days, pretty much everything I've got goes into Crafter's Lab, my home base. And no, it's not another tutorial site or some AI clone farm. It's a live workshop. Slack's the room, me building in the open, agents in the mix, the crew right there with me. It's for solo devs who use AI like a real teammate, not a vending machine. If you build with care, you'll feel right at home. And if you're still on Patreon, thank you, genuinely. But everything lives at crafterslab.dev now, so come be part of the crew. Okay, and this next one might be the most valuable question in the whole Swift UI lab because it's the argument that never dies. Someone straight up asked whether there's a architecture the Swift UI team expects us to adopt, MVC, MVVM, anything official SE, and the answer is no. Swift UI is architecture agnostic on purpose, no blessed pattern. What fits depends on your app, your data model, who's working on it. A small app may not need heavy architecture at all. And half of you just went, sure, Daniel. Old news. But hold on, because the solo dev version of this problem is new. You're not choosing an architecture alone anymore. Your agent has an opinion, a strong one. It learned Swift UI from years of blog posts where MVVM was basically a religion. So ask Claude Code or Codex for a new feature and just watch what shows up. A view model you didn't ask for, a protocol with exactly one implementation, a services folder for an app with a handful of screens. And it's not that the model's wrong. It's the average answer of the internet handed to you stupid fast. And when you're solo, that's how you end up living inside someone else's architecture without ever deciding to. The agent scaffolds like there's a team coming later, and there is no team coming. It's you. So the move, and Apple basically handed us the permission slip here. decide your stance, write it down, make it part of the agent's brain. Mine is an actual architecture contract in the .md file, the harness reads. Plain SwiftUI state first, views own their local state. No new abstraction layer unless there's a named reason it has to exist. And yours can be full MVVM. Honestly, the contract matters way more than the choice. The point is the agent follows your architecture instead of the training datas. And, okay, real question, not bait. Where did you actually land on the whole MVVM thing for solo SwiftUI apps? Because I keep meeting devs who swear by the discipline, and my honest experience is that the discipline mostly serves a team I don't have. But I don't know, maybe I'm drawing that line wrong. Tell me where you landed. Okay, so remember when I said some of these answers contradict what your agent writes? This is the one where it's not even subtle. Someone asked about anti-patterns, and the engineers just started listing. Don't lean on geometry, reader too hard, careful overusing onChange, careful reading environment values that update constantly, because everything watching them updates right along with them and the one they actually unpacked. Why filtering, or if statements inside of ForEach becomes a problem. Short version, filter before the data ever hits the ForEach, or you pay for it on every single render. And look, read that list slowly, because I did, and it's uncomfortable. It's a list of things AI-generated SwiftUI does constantly. The filter jammed inside the ForEach is basically the signature move. And then, of course, it is, right? The training data is soaked in old sample code, and the anti-pattern compiles, runs, looks completely correct in a diff. There's no red squiggle for quietly expensive. So the model ships it with full confidence, and you, the entire QA department, skim the boring screen and hit accept, and nothing breaks. And that's the trap, you know what I mean? It's not a crash, it's rot. The app just gets a little heavier every session, and by the time you feel it in the scrolling, the cause is smeared across. Yeah, good luck finding it. And the GeometryReader one, this connects to, okay, if you caught my size class video, the one where your width checks quietly died, you already know where Apple's head is at with layout. And same articles on my screen right now. Fat Bob Mans from size class to available space, because the man keeps mapping this shift better than anyone. And here's the tension I'm still chewing on. Apple says, careful with geometry, reader, and at the same time, the whole platform is drifting toward layout driven by available space instead of device type. So, which is it? Where I've landed, for now, the warning was never about measuring. It was about measuring everywhere as a crutch, and one deliberate measurement at the right level. Driving your own wide or narrow state is literally the strategy in this article, but I'm honestly not sure I've drawn that line in the right place yet, so if you have comments, for real. Anyway, the stealable move, and this one's tonight-sized. Take Apple's own list and turn it into a review pass for your agent. Mine is a single save prompt. Sweep the diff for filtering or branching inside ForEach. Flag every geometry reader and justify why it exists. List every onChange and every hot environment read, and run it at the end of any UI session. Mine found things I'd already approved, which was humbling, not gonna lie, because the same model that writes the anti-pattern catches it the second you ask. It just never asks itself. So yeah, if you're still here, you're exactly who I made this for, and the thing I keep coming back to. This whole Q&A reads like the SwiftUI team quietly correcting the internet, and the internet is what our agents learned from. So these answers aren't trivia, they're patches. The tutor thing, the architecture default, the anti-pattern list, and none of them apply themselves. You feed them into the thing writing half your code or nothing changes. And honestly, that's the least doomy take there is, because the models keep getting better on their own, and the devs who keep asking why get better right along with them. And you know, if you actually want to go deeper on any of this, come check out crafterslab.dev. I've put real time into this thing, built it to work no matter what you're running. Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, whatever comes next. And look, it's not a tutorial dump, it's not another one of those AI clone farms, it's a live workshop. I made it for solo devs who treat AI like an actual teammate, not just a button you smash when you're stuck. And honestly, it's packed. You get the full walkthroughs, plus the resources, straight up downloadable stuff you can drop right into your project and go. Members jump in the comments, ask follow-ups, go back and forth, and all of it syncs straight into Slack, so the conversation just kind of never stops. And yeah, Slack's where the real workshop lives. The crew's in there, the agents are in there, and it genuinely just feels like everyone's building in the same room, and that's just the start, honestly. Because the real core, the thing everything else kind of hangs off of, is the Notion team spaces, my playbook. And this one's genuinely hard to explain without just showing you, because it's not really a doc library you go read. It's the actual command center where my whole AI team work. Like, this is where the PM writes up the tasks, drops the research to make the app better, and then the builder just picks those up from there. Everyone leaves their session notes as they go, so nothing gets lost handing off from one agent to the next. It's the live ops of the whole studio, and Notions is basically the room they all work in. I'm in there every day. The agents are in there every day. I'm not going to walk through all of it. It's kind of massive, but that's the part you really have to see for yourself. And then there's the Swift and SwiftUI library. It's a whole team space I curate myself. And I mean actually curate, not some key auto-generated pile of files. It's real, it's current, and it's stacked in layers. One of them, SwiftBrain. That's where the deep dive stuff lives, the private talks, the kind of material you're honestly not going to find sitting in some model's public training data. Then there's the SwiftUI skills layer. This is the hard stuff. Complex UI animation, custom effects. Basically, every AI skill I reach for when I'm building SwiftUI, and the newest one, Apple UI, I'm curating screenshots and references in there, kind of like a mobbin, so the agents have somewhere real to pull inspiration from instead of just guessing. I'll go deeper on that one in its own video, and here's the thing. None of this is just sitting there looking pretty. It's what I actually use. I feed it into agents. I use it to fine-tune. I wire it straight into Claude Code and Cursor. There's a bunch of different ways to run it, and I'm always messing with new ones. And whatever I figure out, I post it in the lab as I go. And then there's Ops Lab. Honestly, this one might be my favorite. It's the whole operation behind the studio in one place. My agents, the workflow blueprints, the agent skills, basically every system I've wired up to actually run a solo dev studio without drowning in it. And here's how I think about it. It's not really a folder of files. It's more like a library of my teammates, the agents I actually lean on every day, just sitting there, ready for you to pull in, copy, tweak, totally break, and make your own. So, yeah. If you want to get in before it gets busy and prices start moving, now's kind of the sweet spot. The crew's still small, super hands-on, and honestly, it feels way more like a behind-the-scenes dev lounge than some giant faceless forum. Would love to see you in there, swap some stories, maybe even learn something from what you're building next. Crew's still small, properly hands-on, and prices are going to move at some point, so now's kind of the sweet spot, honestly. Come through, bring the weirdest answer your agent ever gave you. We'll trade. Keep crafting, keep asking the follow-up question, and don't let the average answer become your app. Peace.